Hello everyone, in today's video I'm going to review the Winsor & Newton Series 7 watercolor brush. I have heard a lot of good things about this brush, so in this video I will be comparing this with other Kolinsky sable brushes that I have. This is the Skoda Reservoir. This is the Navskaya Palitra, made in Russia. This is the Da Vinci Maestro, made in Germany. And lastly, there is the synthetic sable, the Da Vinci Cassano, also made in Germany. These brushes that I have here, I have been using them for several years and they are still able to retain their sharp points. So the main reason why I bought this is actually to replace some of my worn out Kolinsky sable brushes. So let's take a look. This is a magnetic cardboard box and this is the brush. So Winsor & Newton has been making brushes for over 150 years, and this particular brush, the Series 7, was actually commissioned by Her Majesty Queen Victoria in 1866. So this brush is the same brush that she used more than 100 years ago. These are some tips for maintaining your brush. Always clean your brush after each painting session. Do not leave the brush soaking in water. Do not leave the brush on their heads, and shape the head or tip after cleaning. Do not point in your mouth. I wonder why. So this box, it's very nice. It protects the brush very well. And there's this plastic straw here that protects the hair as well. Double protection. That is a very sharp tip. The length is 26 millimeter and the diameter is 4.7 millimeter. That's the metal ferrule, the black body. This is a short handle brush. Winsor & Newton Series 7. This is a beautiful brush. Alright, let's wash the brush to wash away the thing that's holding the hair together. There may be something wrong with my brush. So when I put the brush in the water, you can see how the hair, it spreads out in an untidy manner. My other Kolinsky sable brushes, they don't do this. This is Da Vinci Maestro. See how neat and tidy the hair is. By the way, I have already washed this brush under the tap for 15 minutes, and I also used the brush soap to clean this as thoroughly as I can. Now for some reason, I just cannot get this brush to taper to a point. That's the Winsor & Newton brush at the top. When I try to shape the hair to a point with my finger, it doesn't work as well. And now let's test this on paper. Okay. It has water and paint on the brush, but for some reason it's not able to release the water properly. The way this Winsor & Newton brush holds water and paint looks really weird to me. Let me show you the Da Vinci. See how the water coats the brush hair? And now take a look at the Winsor & Newton. Alright, I'm going to contact Jackson's Art and tell them about this faulty brush and see what they're going to do about it. So I mailed the previous brush back to Jackson's Art where I bought the brush from, and 2 weeks later they replaced it with this new brush. And they also reimbursed the shipping cost for sending the earlier brush back. So now let's test this new one. The hair is spreading out again. Anyway, it doesn't matter how this looks as long as the brush can perform. Doesn't seem to be able to taper to a point again. This is the Skoda Reservoir. It's so easy to taper this to a point. Okay, I have a bad feeling about this. This doesn't look good. It does seem to be able to hold a lot of water. But see how it releases the water? Let's try and draw some thin and thick lines. Okay, it releases water quite nicely now. This paper that I'm using, this is Fabriano Studio, 25% cotton watercolor paper. So it seems to be working fine, although it's still very difficult to get the sharp point. This is Daler Rowney Aquafine watercolor paper with no cotton content. The brush seems to be working fine here. This is Fabriano 5 with 50% cotton. So it seems fine here. Da Vinci, no problem. Escoda, no problem. Navskaya Palitra, no problem. This is Fabriano Studio 25, this is Fabriano 5, and this is Daler Rowney Aqua Fine watercolor paper. So the paper that you use, it does affect the performance of the Winsor Newton watercolor brush. Having said that, I was actually able to get very consistent and predictable results with Da Vinci, Escoda, and Navskaya Palitra, but not with the Winsor and Newton. It may look like the brush is not able to release water and paint evenly, but if you are actually conscious about your technique, you are able to create flat washes like this. Here as well, this is the Daler Rowney paper, and this is Fabriano 5. The Winsor Newton brush is at the bottom. Okay, let me paint this quick sketch and see how it actually feels like when painting with this brush. The performance of this brush is a huge improvement over the previous brush, the faulty brush. The hair on the Winsor Newton brush, it feels softer compared to other Kolinsky Sable brushes that I have, and it doesn't snap back as firmly compared to other brushes. And lastly, it's difficult to get the brush to go back to a point. I mean, you can certainly shape it back to a point, but it takes a lot more effort compared to the other brushes. Here's a quick sketch of my daughter sleeping. I didn't have much issues painting this. The brush was able to release paint and water quite evenly, quite consistently. The only issue here is when it comes to painting those tapered strokes, I have to put in a bit more effort to get the brush with its sharp tip. Otherwise, you can see here the strokes, they end like this with the rounded end. Winsor & Newton Series 7 brush is expensive, and right now I just don't see how it's actually value for money, especially when compared to the performance of other brushes that I have. So for Kolinsky Sable brushes, they are expensive and prices can increase almost exponentially with increase in brush sizes. Even if it's just an addition of 1 to 2 millimeter, it can add 10, 20 to 30 US dollars to the price tag. So these are prices that I got from Blick. For Winsor & Newton Series 7, size 7, it's US $78. For the Escoda Reservoir, size 10, it's $73. Notice the difference in brush sizes. So different companies, they may use different brush sizing system, but these two brushes, they are rather similar in sizes, which is why the pricing is not too different. For Da Vinci, they also use a different brush sizing system. So, and not just that, they also make a lot of different round brushes. For the simple round brush, size 8, US 74, full belly round brush, size 7, 68. But if it's size 8, it's $93. So a jump of one brush size, it's $68 to $93. For the long tapered round size 7, it's $67. For the sharp round size 10, US $80. For the travel round size 10, US $98. And for the rosemary pointed round, it's US $54, which for some reason it's significantly cheaper compared to the other brands. I'm not sure if the prices here are inclusive or exclusive of tax though. I just got them from the website. My brush was actually bought on Jackson's Art, a UK art store. I bought it at US $75 and it includes free shipping. So that pricing is quite comparable to Blick. To conclude, the Winsor & Newton Series 7 brush, it did not live up to my expectations. The first brush was horrible. The hair was not able to load paint and water well, and there were a few strands of wavy hair. The replacement brush, it performs better, but the snap back to point, it's not as good compared to other watercolor brushes. It could be a quality control issue. Anyway, if you guys are using this brush, if you guys are using the Series 7, let me know how your brush actually performs. I am probably not going to be buying any more Winsor & Newton brushes in the future. You can't go wrong with Da Vinci, and Escoda Novskaya Palitra is also fantastic if you can get it. But Winsor & Newton,